All right, so our Ju-188 saga continues, and I'm still working on the stuff I'm supposed to be working on, but I started to look at the landing gear because it's something that needs to be done. And I noticed that the landing gear seems to me to be too long. And I think what happens is it's basically been molded as the in-flight without the weight of the airplane on it, length. So what I'm going to do is take off this little flange, I don't know what that's for, and I'm going to shorten this thing right about there by about, let's see, right about, let me show you. I'm going to shorten it about right there. And I'll drill and put brass pins in it so that it looks to me like it'd be a better length, okay? The other problem is the wheels. The tail was really skinny, but these wheels look like toys. They seem small in diameter and in width. And it turns out, if I look at real plans on the airplane, the real pictures, I hope you can see this. This is the diameter, and this thing is definitely inside that, just not by much, but it is definitely inside. And then width is way inside. You can't see anything. It's so poorly done here. Let me try to do this. It's like, let me try something else. Something else maybe work better. Because I can't get my hand to the right thing. Stink, by the way, is our cat. Maybe you can see it now. So there's the width it's supposed to be. And if you look, you can see that it's actually considerably skinnier. And again, the diameter, if we put up to one side, the diameter is definitely shorter. So what I've decided to do is fall back on my paper modeling and build me some new wheels out of balsa. These two sandwiched together, cross-grained, will be a wheel, and I think they'll work fine. And it's, you know, put them in a Dremel and turn them into a circle. And this little dude should be the right thickness for tail wheel, because the tail wheel looks really skinny. It looks almost like just a piece of cardstock. So anyway, I'm going to play with that. It's simple stuff to do, but that way the wheels will look better, and I think the thing will look better on it, sitting on its own paws when they actually look like real wheels. So here we go. Alrighty, so here's my two wheels, my wooden one and my kit one. And you can see they're considerably different in size and in thickness, although I think mine should actually be a little thicker, but we're going to go with that. But what we're going to do right now is work on these. This one I have shortened, and I'll show you how I did it. But you can compare them, and you can see there's not a humongous difference. But there's a difference down there. See by my fingers down here? There is a difference. And so, and I think that'll just look better. It look like it's under load. It's very simple to do this. The first thing I did, is to cut off whatever this is. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. I don't see it on the real airplane, so we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to end up shortening, cutting this thing right here. And that's how we're going to start doing that. But let's adjust here. Maybe you can see this. So the first thing we'll do is cut this thing off. So I'm going to just go multiple times along this thing. This thing bit me in the posterior on the other side because I forgot how brittle this plastic is in this kit. And I actually took off more of the oleo strip. Oh, cool, look at that, it just fell off all by itself. Huh, perfect. That was an accident. I did not mean for that to happen. But if I go too aggressive on cutting, I basically sheared the whole thing. So I got to be a little careful. And that's hilarious that came off right where I wanted it to come off. That's, talk about a miracle. That's pretty amazing. Anyway, get this thing off, and then we'll go from there Okay, I did okay. Just making sure I didn't destroy something. Looks pretty good. I'm going to, I don't know, I think I'll probably use a sander for this sucker. This thing is so delicate in terms of, like I say, the plastic, as you just were shown graphically there. Boy, that thing just fell apart, and I didn't even try to do anything. Just the bumpy table and the angle, and it just came right off. So all I'm doing is making sure that that ridge thing is gone. I'm going to actually cover this with a little bit of, we're going to make like a boot. It's got a big boot, as Jeremy Clarkson would say. We're gonna put something around that. But first off, I'll take this part and I will just sand this flat. Make sure that it's as flat as I can get it. You know, pretty good anyway. Now this part is the part I want to take a piece off of. And I got to make sure I take off the same amount that I have on this one. So if I look at this and I say, you know, here we go, there it is together, you can see I'm missing a little bit here. So I'm going to do this very carefully just by sanding. Like I said, I cut the last one, and that was a disaster. Not a disaster, it's just more stuff came off than I thought was going to come off. So I'm going to make sure I'm standing straight. I'm going to sneak up on this baby until it's about right. See, it's still got plenty to go. And I'm just going to sand this off until I get it right. All right, I think I got the little sucker. It only took a few seconds, but I figured that's so boring to watch. Now those two look like they are at the same depth. And so the next thing to do is to drill holes to put that little brass piece in there. So I've got these little tiny drills. You haven't had a set of these, get these, they're amazing. And what you want to do is come down in the center and put a little pressure and just slowly start it. You can see I'm holding it with my thumb and forefinger there pretty tight. But see, I got it in enough so that it actually sticks. But I'm going to do this until, make sure I'm in the center. Is my hole in the center? It's pretty close. Make sure it's in the center and drill down and look at it sideways and also look at it end on like this. And try to make sure you're going down straight into the piece. You know, initially it's kind of wonky. But once you get it moving, it goes pretty well. And again, I'm doing this off kilter. I'm not looking right at it because I'm trying to get the pictures made. So the beauty about the brass, though, even if you are a little crooked, you can kind of bend it into place. So that's kind of a plus. But I'm trying to straighten this thing out. How deep do you go? As deep as you want until you mess with the structural integrity of the part. In this case, you don't have to go in the whole length of the oleo strut. I mean, already I'm in that far. I think that's enough for right there. That's fine. Okay, so we'll do the same thing with this guy. This is a little easier because it's bigger. But let's find center. I'm just eyeballing this. Probably shouldn't. You should do some kind of calculation or some kind of cool trick. I don't have any. So hence I didn't start it right in the center. And once you start, even if it's off center a little bit, keep going. Because you're never going to get it. Well, dang it. It is really hard to do when you're not right on top of it. Like I said, I'm doing this at an angle. And so it's really tough to do this in a way that, because I want that is more center right there. So I'm going to try to push it up that way and get it into center. That's a little, no, that's way off. Yeah, this is a problem because I'm trying to show you guys. You're supposed to put it, you can see it's way off. It's not in the center. So it's got to be up here somewhere, which means I've got to sort of start a different hole. And the last one I didn't have to. I just started it. I just did with my drill bits and it worked perfectly. But now that I'm trying to do this, I'm going to go at an angle so I can get it going where I want it and slowly turn it. It's good that way. It's not good this way. Oh well, the point is you're going to get the gist of it. And we're going to have this covered with stuff, and so it won't look too bad once it's done. But you be careful when you do it. Don't do it like I did. And don't take a video of it, because it'd never work. But I am trying to look and make sure that I'm horizontal everywhere, on all sides. And I'm giving a little bit of pressure, trying to make sure. I think I actually got it kind of centered now. I think it looks a little better than it did, and I'm pushing it down there pretty good. These bits work great. They will snap on you and then go impale yourself and things, so they are a pistol to work with. But this one I think is pretty far in there. That's how far in I am. That's pretty good. Now the fun begins, because now you take a piece of brass and you stick it in there, and what I'm going to do is, it fits just great. I'm going to take a little bit of super glue. I'm going to put it on the end of there. And I'm going to go ahead and stick this puppy right in there. Make sure it went in, which it did. I'm going to wipe off the excess because I want a flat space where the other piece is going to fit in. Okay, so there you go. Looks good, looks straight. Now, as I recall, I'm not sure how far it went into the other strut, but it was pretty short. I'm going to bring this down to about here. Let's see if that's sufficient. And now we'll test fit it. And the axle here has to go towards this piece here on this airplane. So you slide this in, and lo and behold, that looks pretty, oh my gosh, it looks pretty good. But again, I can bend it slightly if I need to. It doesn't look bad. How does it compare to the other one? Let's check them. They should be dang close. And they are. So now, it's working better than I thought. Last part. Put some glue on here. Slide this baby in. Make sure, wipe off the excess, make sure that she's straight. Make sure your axle is in line. Make sure you got everything is vertical, which it is. And when it's good, zap it with a little accelerator. And my cunning plan has worked. Kate's your uncle. There's 2 references to Blackadder for those who, the uninitiated among us. That's pretty good. Now that didn't shorten them a huge amount, but you'd be amazed how different it is. And now, with the wheel on, I do think it's going to look better. In other words, the distance between here and this part is actually closer. And I think it looks more like the photos I've seen. Just a little squatter, enough to make it look a little more robust. So there you go. I lost the axle piece on this one, but that's okay. That's not going to hurt anything. And so those are done. My wheels need to be primed and sanded and all the rest, but they're going to be in good shape. And there you go. There's a start. That's work. Good work. Alrighty, so I finished these off. And what I did with them and primed them, I added a scissors, little piece of plastic with a couple holes drilled into it. I put, of course, a brake line in. And lastly, if you can see it, I don't know how it's going to turn out, I took a piece of tissue paper soaked in sort of the Aliens glue, or you could use Elmer's glue, some kind of PVA, in water, and basically painted it, and it made it real soft and goopy, and then came back and sort of put folds in it. I'm hoping that when we paint it will look like a dust cover, and we'll see how it goes. I didn't make that up. That's something that model people have been doing for eons. I suppose I could use some putty, or I could have used some aluminum foil maybe, but if this turns out, we're just going to use this as is. So we're going to sort of see what happens. Okay, but I'm going to sit here and paint this briefly. I am going to paint them in sort of a gray, and then hit them with some black wash, and that will look just fine. And then I will paint the dry brush everything. I think it'll look good. But so far, I have to say, this little guy has turned out really well. We'll see how this looks when it's all done. But you could airbrush this, by the way. I'm not, just because right now it's easier just to do this. Primed it, of course. And there are some struts that go on it in a little bit here. But that'll be when we actually put it together, put it on the... We actually put it onto into the airplane, into the bay. So I'm just making sure the parts that are what I'm going to say is my strut color are painted that way. I don't know what color the little brake line would be, but we're just going to say for now it would be some sort of a, maybe black, maybe I'll just, yeah, I'm not sure what color I'll make it. I'll make it some color though, because it needs to be some cool color, I think. And once this is all done, we will put this all into the aeroplane, and that'll actually make it look pretty cool. That'll make it look, and it'll sit on its own. I'm debating on my wheels whether I'm going to make new ones, because they are a little on the skinny side still, and I'm not sure if they shouldn't be a better shape. I got most of the shape okay, but I got some stuff that looks kind of dorky. Doesn't look as clean, kind of rounded. It has to have a more portly shape on it, and so I might have to go back and redo them. It's not like they were hard to do. It's a bummer because I thought I was done, but I think I'm probably going to have to do that. Okay, so that's generally done. So we'll clean this off, and then we will use our other color, which is going to be sort of a buff beige color, just to sort of make the overall color of the boot. And then once it's on there, we'll see if it actually looks good. I'm not sure if it will, because not 100% sure if it will, because it does need to, you want it to have like a little bit of sort of rugose appearance. You want it to look like it's kind of folded and stuff. And I guess we'll see what happens. I'm not convinced that it's going to work, but we're going to see. So I think it started right about here and goes down to the bottom down there. If I over hit some of the gray that I shouldn't, that's okay. Since it's nice and dark, it'll work just fine. I can come back and touch up. But this color is going to be much modified here once I hit it with some of my dark brown sort of wash. That's going to help tone down some of this bright kind of color in there. So that's one. Let's do the other. It's kind of fun doing detail painting. It's not nearly as hard if you have good brushes and good paints and stuff, and you're familiar with it all. It's not so bad. People kind of shy away from it or think it's going to be really hard to do, or painting figures and stuff is always a big bugaboo, and it's actually not so bad. You just sort of take it easy, take it slow, and think about what something would look like. It's not so bad. All right, so that's that, which looks pretty good. And that's the main, the main parts. That's it. So while that's drying, let me go back and see if I need to touch up any places, because I might. In fact, I'm pretty sure I do. The beauty of this stuff is it dries fast. It dries very quick. And so you can paint something and then go back and hit it with another color pretty immediately. And that's one nice thing about acrylics. I used to always paint with the Testers, Model Masters, Pactra, all those good old paints, and they work fine. They were great. And I just used, thinner and stuff like a normal human. And then they came out with all these acrylic paints, and I was shied away from them because I was used to the other ones. And everyone said these Tamiya, or Tamiya, however you say it, the paints were really nice. And I always thought, yeah, right. How could they be better than my Model Master paints that I used for 1,000 years? And it turns out they are really nice. And I do like them because they will, you can clean up brushes and things with just with lacquer thinner, really nail them and get them nice and clean. But you can thin the paint when you're working out with the airbrush just with alcohol, with isopropanol. And so, and they sell their own thinner too, which probably works even better. But I'm cheap, so I tend to just use what you can buy at the local store for thinner. And that seems to work. Okay, so we'll let those dry a little bit. And we will then hit them with a little wash. And then dry brush them. But right now, the basic colors are in. I'm going to worry about picking out the break lines later. But when we hit those with our wash, hopefully they look really cool. Hopefully they look kind of, like I said, rugose. But we'll see. What we'll do now, though, is hit the rest of it with some of the accent Panaline. That's the black. Stir it up good. Make sure you put sawdust into it too. That's a smart idea. Just looking at my handle, it's full of all kinds of junk. Okay, so let's give this guy a touch of dark. And it always kind of looks dark at first, and then if you just let it sit and let it dry, it's sort of, it doesn't get lighter, but it does kind of almost fade. So if you put something on, you're like, oh man, that's a little too much. Chances are, if it looks like it's too much, it's probably just about right. And At least that's what I'm banking on here. And I'm just sort of going over this whole thing. And then we're going to hit the boot thing with a tan color, a brown color, and hope that that is more what we want for that. If it doesn't look perfect, that's okay. Remember, this is all supposed to be enjoyable. If you're losing your religion while you're building the model or painting the model or doing something like that, paper model, anything, fishing, anything, if you're upset, you know, either get a new hobby or relax a little bit. Because it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be enjoying yourself. You're not at work, you know, look at it that way. And I'm not at work today because I'm taking 2 weeks off. Good. A little more maybe here, just to seem like it needs a bit more. Okay, let that dry. And now we will hit the little brown brush stuff. This stuff for some reason seems to really, the pigment seems to really come out of there. Don't know why, but get it nice and stirred up. And this will help our boots look more booty, I hope. Give them a little bit of a hopefully the tissue paper look will cause these things to, you know, hit all of the little creases and crevices that were in the tissue and make it look like a boot. So let that dry. Go to the other one. And then what we'll do is, or what I'll do off camera, because this is such a boring video, what I will do is do my dry brushing, which again just going to be silver. And you've seen me do dry brushing before. So I will take my testers, my favorite testers enamel silver, and I shall, boy, if that works, that does look like a, that's cool. Yeah, that kind of does look like, especially if I dry brush it, it might look like the bee's knees. I will, there they are, hanging out. Let them dry. I'll dry brush, and then when we come back, maybe you'll see a nice finished product. All right, so I finished painting these and dry brushing them. I ended up painting the little brake line a slightly different color, sort of a black-brown color. And I dry brushed the little boot, and I think it's okay. It's not perfect. It's not really not quite the way I thought it would be, but it still looks like it's something covering the area, and so I think that's going to be fine. So that's these, shortened, fixed up, a little bit of detail on them. Again, the little scissors weren't there before, and the brake lines weren't there, so I'm pretty pleased. Stick these in the airplane, and then we can start playing with the canopy.